ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to quickly introduce to you our today's guest of honor. And that is Shri Anup Kumar, ITS, who is he's working as Deputy Director General, Unique Identification Authority of India, UIDAI, Regional Office, Bengaluru. Ladies and gentlemen, Shri Anup Kumar belongs to 1989 batch of Indian Telecom Services and has over 32 years of work experience in government CPSUs in various positions. He served in the Department of Telecommunications and BSNL in various capacities in the states of Bihar, West Bengal, and Karnataka. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Shri Anup Kumar. Joining us here today is our very own Deputy Director General, Unique Identification Authority of India, Regional Office, Bengaluru, who's going to lead us through an insightful session on government's vision on accelerating digital innovation in India. Everybody, let's give a big hand, please. Hearty welcome to you, Shri Anup Kumar. Thank you for joining us here today. The stage is all yours. Our Senior Director, ETH, to florally welcome our very own guest of honor, Shri Anup Kumar, amongst us. इतना सन्नाटा नहीं होना चाहिए दोस्तों, तालियों की आवाज आनी चाहिए सबकी तरफ से. Thank you. Hearty welcome, sir. Thank you so much. And the stage looks perfect. The time is set. It's the afternoon, and I'm sure we've been waiting for it. Over to you, Mr. Anup Kumar.
Thank you. Let me first thank the organizers for having invited me for this event. So I've been asked to cover this government's vision on accelerating digital innovation in India. And since I'm from Aadhaar, I've worked in UIDAI for the last 13 years. I've been working there. So mostly I'll be talking about Aadhaar. I'll be covering other aspects as well. Coming to Aadhaar, let me talk about the numbers, Aadhaar enrollment and updates. Aadhaar we have given to 136 crore people in this country. These numbers you may be knowing. You may not be knowing the number of updates which has happened. That is 74 crores. So we can, on average, you can say that every second person who has got an Aadhaar, he has updated his demographic or biometric data sometime. So that way we can say that Aadhaar is the most flexible identity, most updated identity, very easy to update. So the update numbers, they speak of themselves. I'm sure that many of you would have updated the data, your data in Aadhaar, but I don't know how many would have tried updating in other identities like driving license or passport. I'm sure very few would have tried to do that. Next numbers is about the services which we provide, online services, authentication and eKYC. So this is my cumulative number. Almost we have done 9,000 crore of Aadhaar authentication so far. Out of that, 1,500 crores are eKYC. So authentication is just we send your Aadhaar number along with some of your attributes, either biometric, OTP, or can be iris or fingerprint, and we just give a response, digitally signed response, yes or no. eKYC, we give the data, consented data of the resident in an encrypted form, and after successful authentication, if there is a request for eKYC, we provide data to that requesting entity. So with that eKYC, we have solved the problem. We can do this paperless transactions, opening bank account and many other activities we can do it, issuing a SIM card and all without any submitting in a physical document. Coming back to identity, you know that identity, that the purpose of that mission of this, Digital India mission was inclusive development with focus on digital empowerment. So in India, we have solved this identity problem, but have we solved it for the entire world? It has not yet been solved, and that's why that United Nations in the Strategic Development Goal 16.9 Charter, they have mentioned about providing legal identity for everyone by 2030. So still there are countries which are underdeveloped countries, they're still struggling for this identity, and they can have a lever from, they can have a clue from Aadhaar, and they can also work on Aadhaar-like identity. And in fact, many countries are working also for providing identity, legal identity. Next is that about digital public infrastructure. We all know that public infrastructure, we have highways and all which people use it. But nowadays we talk about this digital public infrastructure. And there Aadhaar plays a very critical role. We have solved, as I told, we have solved this identity issue. Cost of customer acquisition and for providing services has reduced a lot. In fact, Aadhaar authentication, which I talked about, that costs just 50 paise per transactions, and eKYC, which used to cost 20 rupees 2 years back, the rates have been brought down to 3 rupees per transactions. And in fact, for telecom companies, that has been further reduced to 1 rupee per transactions. And for with Aadhaar, using this infrastructure, the benefits are directly reaching to the beneficiaries. Like you would have heard of this Kisan Samman Nidhi, just by a click of button, that they are eligible to get some 6,000 rupees per year in 3 installments of 2,000 per installment. 8 to 10 crores Kisans, farmers, the money goes directly to their bank account. There are government schemes like One Nation, One Ration Card that could be achieved because of this infrastructure of Aadhaar. Jeevan Praman, retired government officers, every year they have to give this life certificate. And earlier they used to go to the bank and they used to meet the bank manager to give the certificate. Now sitting at the home, they can use a biometric device or a mobile phone also with face authentication. They can give the certificate. They did not travel to their home branch of the bank. Jan, when we started, 45 crore, 46 crores bank accounts were opened using just the Aadhaar. These kind of people, otherwise they would have never joined this banking services because they were not having any kind of papers and all. But since they had Aadhaar, they could do eKYC for them and accounts were opened. Same way mutual funds, 10.8 crore demat accounts were opened. Other than Aadhaar, there are other digital public infrastructures which are in place. You all would have, you may be knowing about UPI, 7 to 8 billion transactions per month are happening. A lot of innovations can happen in this field also. Then there is a concept of account aggregator. This is about this consent framework for data sharing, consent-based data sharing that under this DEPA guidelines, data empowerment and protection architecture guidelines, and data can be shared by one entity to other entity. Then there is another DPI like DigiLocker, where there are 14 crore users are there, which is extensively used by CBSE for pushing the mark sheets of the students. Next is about this ONDC, which is in progress, and for that pilot testing is going on. E-Sign is another very nice product. Right now, CDAC and other providers are providing this service. If you have to sign a document, you do not buy a dongle costing 3,000, 2,000 rupees, digital sign certificate. Very easily using this Aadhaar services, you can sign a document. Then it is next is about this central KYC. Next is about central KYC, which CERSAI provides this. You have a KYC in one place, they will give a KYC ID, and that can be used for different transactions based on your consent. Next is about this digital public goods data, as we show that we have this largest biometric and demographic data in the world. And consent-based data sharing, that framework is in place. We have APIs, a lot of APIs are there in public domain. I have just mentioned 2, 3 which Aadhaar provides. Then there's a sandbox environments also with using this environment, startup companies, new companies, those who want to innovate, they can do that, they can test their product. So this is also being provided by UIDAI. And most of our services, I can say almost all are based on open source technologies. So there's no concept of vendor lock-in here. This India stack is a set of APIs and DPGs, and it has got majorly 3 components, and we all have 3 in place. Like our entity problem is solved by Aadhaar, data, consent-based sharing is there, for payments, UPI is there, and all these 3 components, they constitute India stack. So how Aadhaar can be leveraged for digital innovations? As I told that online services are there, online as well as offline also. Offline I'll talk about in next slide. So online authentication, as I told that yes, no transactions are there, and we are doing 8 to 10 crores per day. In a month we do around 200 crore transactions. eKYC, we can do using fingerprint or iris or OTP. So that also roughly we do 1 crore per day transactions. So next disruption is authentication is coming usage of face authentication. So as for this fingerprint or iris transaction, you need to have a separate device. For a fingerprint device or iris device costing 2,000 rupees, and iris device will cost around 5,000 rupees. But using a simple mobile phone, you can do a face authentication. So mobile is going to come as an authenticator. If you don't want to do this online, you can very well do this offline verification. For that also, we are providing this QR code. We have an app called M-Aadhaar. You can download a QR code, and there your data is there, which is digitally signed by UIDAI. That means that is authentic response from UIDAI. In addition, we also provide this digitally signed XML file, which can be protected using a share code, which is given by you. And this is being used in Digi Yatra. Many of you would have used it. So for Digi Yatra also, for onboarding, you can use this XML file. And this is enhancing credibility and security also. Next is that if in this country, if you start data collection now, what are the challenges we face? Like people write their names in a different fashion in different databases. And this is a really big problem. Similarly, the problem is the date of birth. So when Aadhaar we started, there were people, aged people or not so literate people, they were not knowing the exact date of birth. They were just telling that I am roughly 70 years old, I am 75 years old. And for that, the solution was found that just calculate the date, year of birth approximately, and give 1st January as date of birth. So these are the problems with data collection. And if you rely Aadhaar as a trusted data source, using this, any of this online eKYC or QR code or XML, you'll get a reliable and trusted data from Aadhaar. So as I talked about that, our digital public infrastructure is ready. Aadhaar is there, UPI, DigiLocker, Open Network for Digital Commerce, Account Aggregator, e-Sign. So companies can start innovating. They have been innovating, but more and more companies can join and try innovating around these infrastructures, which is already existing in the country. Way forward would be that customer experience is increasing, and we have to satisfy them. And whatever you build, it should be robust and scalable architecture. Data collection, which I talked about, should be of quality. Security, privacy is of paramount importance. And we can integrate with future technologies also. A lot of new technologies are coming, IoT, ChatGPT, Metaverse, AI, ML. So these things can be kept in mind while doing any new innovation. Thank you. That's all from my side.